So let's get to our trading today. I am trading on company stocks and all assets with the most optimal movement patterns and payout percentages you can see in front of your eyes. I have already made a detailed analysis of the market for the last period of time and came to the conclusion that today we will use the following indicators. It includes alligator with defaults, settings, fractal with period 5, ADX oscillator with parameters 15, and momentum oscillator with period 15. Today, we will be oriented on the trend and also observe the volume of movement. And ADX will show us the average character of the direction of movement, will show us all sorts of peak points from which we will have a reversal in the trend. All of this. We will also, today, we will analyze and observe it as we trade. I think you will understand everything perfectly because I always try to explain every trade in detail. We will trade on the minute time frame. Today, we will make a good acceleration of the deposit, and the first trade will be opened for the full amount of his balance of $70. Let's start and choose the first asset to find the most optimal entry point. And let's open the first position here on the downside in the direction of the actual trend dynamics. In general, as you can see, ADX reached its peak value. For this section of the movement is 50%, and then the trend has reversed. And now we have a downward trend. There is also a pullback in the trend. A new structural local high has been formed, and here we can open a down trade. Let's look at the result. And the first trade is easily enough closed in plus excellence. The next position is also open on the maximum balance amount. Let's continue and pick up the next entry point. And here immediately we can open a position on the upside, just as in the previous trade, ADX reached its maximum with a downward movement of 53%. And accordingly, we have a reversal in the dynamics, and in general, there are upward volumes. There was also a pullback, and after this pullback, we can open on the trend. And the position is also quite confidently closed in the plus. Further opening is also carried out on the full amount of its balance without the right to make a mistake. I think everything was very clear, tried to explain in detail, and in general, in such situations, you can open similar trades, continue trading, and pick up the following asset. Let's try to open a position on the upside here. We have just updated the structural local minimum, and after this update, it becomes clear that we can open a trade just like this in the upward direction, just like in the previous trade. We have ADX reached its maximum and starts to show a reversal in the dynamics. Earlier, it was downward. So after this pullback, we can open a position on the upside. Let's go for this update. We have ADX reached its maximum and starts to show a reversal in the dynamics. Earlier, it was downward. So after this pullback, we can open a position on the upside. And as you can see, we had a very strong close. Let's take the next trade. Let's also open again for the maximum balance amount. I think in general, everything was clear here as well. The deal is similar to the opening of the previous one, almost the same conditions. And as you can see, two positions without problems, they were closed in. Plus, let's continue trading and pick up the next entry point. Let's open a downside position on the trend here. We have a weak volatility, so in this variant of movement, it is better to open a position on the trend. And in addition, we had a pullback in the dynamics. Earlier, the structural one was updated, local maximum, and here, after its update, we have price crossed all three moving alligator lines in this area of movement. And the moving alligator lines themselves are starting to show us a reversal in dynamics. Let's see the result. And the trade is confident enough to close in the plus again. Excellent, good result on today's trade, and let's probably open the next trade for $51, the whole balance. I probably won't take any more risks, And in case of failure, I will probably open another position for about $100. Let's go ahead and pick up the next stock of the company. And probably here, I will open the first position on the downside. And in case of failure, I will also open the next trade on the downside, most likely. But let's go ahead and pick up the next stock of the company. Let's have a look at the dynamics of the movement. As we can see, the ADX has reached 65%. This is a very high value, in fact. And after such a peak number, I think that in general, the dynamics of the movement should turn a little bit and go down. The alligator lines are showing us now the downward dynamics of the movement. Also, the volumes have crossed the average value, and also they show quite confident and not bad parameters. So here I open a position on the downside. Okay, and the first trade is closed in the negative. So let's look a little bit more. In fact, the dynamics of the movement is average, and in general, a reversal may follow. Let's try to open a second trade on the upside. It's interesting, this entry option, but still, I think they could be looking for a sell entry point here. But let's look at the fact that we've updated the structural local minimum here. And basically, we have a weak volatility, so there are also good conditions to open a trade on the upside. Let's look at the result. Yes, I was absolutely right. I should have opened the position on the downside, and my first option was absolutely correct. But that's okay. Overall, the profit on today's trade is mine. More than satisfactory, in fact, a good result. And because of the fact that the last two trades closed in the negative, I will not be upset. Let's conclude today's trading process. I think it turned out to be quite productive. Let's fix today's profit and go to the conclusion. The amount of today's profit will be $730. Withdrawal operation is successfully executed. This is how trading today turned out. And as you can see, with a proper understanding of the indicators and with the correct analysis of the market, this strategy shows quite good signals. And as you could notice today, several trades were opened on the same principle and they worked out without any problems. A little practice and you will do well. Thank you for watching. Have a good day and see you soon.